number 1. Let's sync up.
You sneaky guy with your beverage. Should have got a beverage.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Wednesday night live stream. Today we are talking nano reefs and especially HelloReef. Today we have on Jay and Matthew. How the heck are you doing, guys?
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Great, Devin.
Excellent. Welcome. So if you guys watched my Monday video, you may have had a bit of a sneak peek of my new nano reef. And if you have been digging into HelloReef, you'll probably seen a lot of Matthew because he did a lot of the training videos on it. So you guys are the perfect ones to get on today for some good old nano reefing chat.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, right? We're here to talk about something totally different from what we're normally here to talk about. Like, wait, I know these guys, like these HelloReef people. They look awfully familiar. Right?
Dude, I'm excited because I feel like I've just been talking to myself for 3 months. So it's good to get out of my little office.
Right? Exactly. So
yeah, I think I mean, what should we do here, Devin? Should we kick off with a bit of an intro about what this is? And
we sure should. So, okay, target audience, obviously someone brand new to the hobby. So fill us in. Who is HelloReef? What is it for? What do you get? Give us the spiel, Jay.
Alrighty. And of course, one of my background lights just shut off right now automatically. So apologize for that. But yeah, so HelloReef is actually something which many of us in the space have really wanted to do for a long time. And I can say that going back to my Ecotech tenure. And I think Matthew with his work with BRS, certainly Paul, Neptune, all of us at now APL have wanted to have a product that we can bring to people who are interested in having a saltwater aquarium that actually really helps them be successful and does away with a lot of the a lot of the over complexity which gets communicated, I think, in the saltwater aquarium lifestyle hobby to people outside of it, right? And so the solution to that's obviously an aquarium, but an aquarium on itself doesn't really help people. What they need is to feel confident that what they're getting is everything. And so that when they get it home, they're not like, well, I didn't realize I needed this or this or this, right? But then the other part of it is that they actually get that training and coaching through the whole activity so that they're actually successful with it. And so that's what HelloReef is. It's a new brand focused on making aquatics, particularly saltwater aquatics, really accessible to people who are not currently involved in it. And then it's also just this complete experience that takes you, the whole way through it.
That's pretty cool. That's a big thing for me too. Like, I've seen some kits are like, okay, you got a light and a pump, return pump maybe. But this is the first time I've ever seen a complete kit. Like your rock, your sand, your refractometer, your heater, absolutely everything needed to get started, which is pretty cool. Basically everything but the water. So it's a pretty cool concept. Now, the training too, that's another big differentiator I'm going to say that I've never seen with a kit before. Usually it's like, okay, here's your basic parts, but what do you do with it now, right? And people are trying to figure that out. Or in this case, Matthew, you basically have the course where you went through every single step and walked through it with the gear that comes in the kit. So it's exactly what you have is what you're getting taught with. So, I mean, there's no ambiguity. It's like, here's exactly how you become successful. That's really cool.
Yeah, no, I've been doing, coming up on a decade now, beginner videos. You know, I remember watching New York Stilo back in the day and
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out how to set things up, and then being like, you know what, I'm a teacher. I think I can do a decent job. So I started my first fish tank, and then just started making, like we all did, Devin. I'm sure you were the same way. You look back at your first videos and you cringe. You're like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
You know, and then through Marine Depot, then through Bulk Reef Supply, and then when Ryan said, hey, we got the perfect thing for you. You just get to start your own channel, start with a brand new company, part of the Aperture family, make beginner content all the time. And I was like, oh, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like my dream and kind of what I love to do. And it's like all encased in this awesome little kit, which is not only a cool kit. I mean, like, yes, I think beginners are going to love it. I think teachers are going to love it. I think people in office buildings are going to love it. But it's also like a phenomenal value that I think there'll be people who are already hobbyists who will just pick it up, because if you buy everything separately, it costs a lot more. So it's just a good value as well.
No, 100% agree. I actually did the same thing. I was like wondering if I added it all up separately. I'm like, nah, it makes sense to just get the kit.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I have one on my desk right beside me, and you know, if I ever start going to the office more, I'll probably throw one on my office desk later, because it's just like an awesome way to do
video, Actually, it looks like you're gonna do a little softy zoas in there.
Yeah, I think I added 4 different Gonnies so far, so I think I might actually turn to a very Gonnie heavy tank, which will be cool.
It'll be nice.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. So, as I see one in the background of yours, so what's your plan with your tank?
Well, I'm just doing, you know, I have a few of them. You know,
Yeah.
This is my primary one, you know, for the background stuff. This is just going to be your standard clownfish anemone, kind of like we guide them to in the kit, you know. This first kit is all about keeping it simple and easy, and I mean, clownfish are super simple. So that's what that one's going to be. And, you know, I've had some, I have a clownfish in there, have a big cleanup crew in there. Working on getting some really cool anemones next week to really kind of make it pop, because I think a lot of beginners will benefit from seeing what the result can be. You know, like it's really hard staring at just a bunch of rocks. So we're going to try to make something absolutely stunning in here, then be like, wow, that's super inspirational. So yeah, that's what I'm doing, getting some awesome worldwide corals, anemones, clones next week. So I'm really excited to kind of pump them in there and see what they do.
That's awesome. On a slight tangent, I've been toying with the idea of doing like a big long like dressery shelf and have 3 or 4 matching HelloReef tanks and doing different themes in each, because I think it'd be really cool.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
You gotta let us know too, because you're sending me drawings of that, right? And I don't know if those IKEA shelves I think they're made out of cardboard on the inside. So
I feel like it could hold a few nanos.
This is IKEA. But this is like the higher end IKEA. IKEA makes better end and lower ends. You just got to get the better end IKEA.
All right. I will send you the links to what I'm looking at later. Okay. Question in the chat. I think this is a perfect kit for you, Jay. He goes, HelloReef is interesting to me. I have a daughter heading off to college early spring. She enjoys her family tank. She knows a little about reef keeping from observing me. What are your thoughts on the setup? She has literally done her homework in front of the tank since she's 9 years old. She'll be in a dorm space, limited to 2 girls each room. I guess biggest concern would be RO water, not allowing her to take care of it in the car this semester. Honestly, for like a dorm, like this is like a perfect size nano. And if she needs to learn, you know, some of the process, I mean, I think this is exactly who it's for, to be honest. So she's perfect use case.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The other thing too, which you touched on before, and we'll circle back to the target for this too, right? But the equipment, everything that's in this setup is exactly like we're all reef keepers, and we all know, we've all been in the industry a long time, so we know, you know, what works and what doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
And that was one of the key things with this kit, was that we provide all of the equipment to make sure that the actual tank itself will work about as well as it can. I mean, including, it even comes with a refractometer, right? You know, so that you can measure the salinity. And the solution we had for the RODI water is actually, which is what I would do if I was to have a tank at school, would be just go get it at the supermarket. People always forget that it's actually RODI in 1 gallon jugs is readily available. And that 1 gallon jug is about perfect for a weekly water change.
Yep.
So get 2 jugs, one for ATO for topping up, and the other one for making your saltwater. But yeah, other thing really cool, age group wise, exactly. You know, Matthew did an absolutely amazing job with these videos. And when we laid out the curriculum for this, we went at it from the angle of you know, we talked to people who'd never had an aquarium before, and even things like where to place the tank. Like good. They're short, easily digestible. We can show you what that looks like too in a little bit, but you know, everywhere from where to put the tank, how to unbox it, how to make saltwater, everything you could think of is included, including aquascaping even. Like shows you some different configurations that you can do with the.
Oh,
You know,
chopping out a bit,
it's
Jay.
like, you know, it's obvious, right? You've seen a million tanks, but to somebody who isn't, you know, who hasn't already made that jump, it's not.
No, it's true. And even there's a couple comments in the chat, but yeah, it even comes with, like, bottled bacteria, literally everything to cycle it for you. So it is within the box is absolutely everything you need except for the RODI water. So it's a pretty simple kind of way to get started with it.
It even has and even if you take the courses, if you watch Matthew's videos, you'll even get your first fish included with it, because there's a gift card for $20, which I guess depends where you are. Around here, you could get your first clownfish for $20. In California, I don't know, maybe. What's a clownfish cost in Canada these days?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, they're all over the. I've seen cheap to crazy for designer ones. So I mean, really depends what you go for.
Let's see if I can trick my camera into.
Ways the ghost, buddy.
I'm like the invisible man here for some reason.
Blending into the background. So is that how does it work to get your clownfish? Is it something that someone just takes with their LFS? Like, how does that work? Once a tank's cycled, ready.
Okay, yeah.
Matthew's done all the content.
it's you know, I just made that video actually, which is good because I had questions too. I was like, how do they do this? So basically, when you get your kit, you know, you scan a QR code and it takes you and you log into this HelloReef Connect, and it's the whole educational portal there, and you work your way through each of these challenges, which are each little individual bonuses. I think there's over 40 that we made, you know, which is like 40 videos, and each of the videos contains like written as well. So you know, if you're visual, if you're like to do it that way, but then, you know, all the challenges will kind of open up as you go through. So it's not overwhelming all at once. You get like 40 things and you're like, oh my goodness, how do I do this? As you complete it, you unlock more and more of these challenges. And when you get to the point where your tank is finally ready, then you will unlock the week all about clownfish. And the clownfish week, part of that is getting your $20 gift card. And so you just basically fill it out online, and then you'll be sent, I believe it's a $20 Visa card via your email, or you can even have one mailed to you. It just takes longer. I think everybody will probably just have it emailed to them. And then you can just use that to purchase your clownfish wherever. Yes. Right, Jay? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Is once you get to the stage. And what you can see here is my screen, which would be a little bit different. This shows you a whole bunch of challenges all at once. And depending on your where you are in the program, you might see a whole bunch, or you might just see one or two, because the way the challenges are set up is they're completely sequential. So you're provided with the information as you need it, with the intention that obviously some things when you're setting up a tank, as we all know, need to take a little bit of time. So the idea isn't that you just rush through the whole thing. The idea is that actually it's done in weekly increments. So there's the initial setup phase, and then there's a pause where you're provided with other things to do while you're waiting for the tank to cycle. Then you can add cleanup crew, then your clownfish, then you wait a little bit longer, and then an anemone, if that's the direction you want to go in. But when you get to the week of adding a clownfish, that's when you're presented with the reward, which is the gift card, and you just complete the instructions of the program, and you will get your gift card. You know, which you can use it pretty much at any pet store, really. You could also use it for other things, but the intention is obviously that you use it. Happy hour, happy hour could be a use of it, but the idea being obviously that you've earned it. So this is your chance now to go get your first clownfish.
No, that's pretty cool. Someone's asking, are these videos available on YouTube? So this is kind of a course that you're enrolled to when you buy the kit, correct?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. So these videos are really just specific to people who kind of purchased the kit. We do have a HelloReef channel, and there's a few kind of like beginning marketing videos on there. But as soon as I finish, I have a couple extra videos I need to make of like our bonus content, which I haven't quite finished yet, which I'm doing like this week and next week. Yeah. But as soon as I finish that, then I'm transitioning over to my bread and butter and just making beginner content
Nice.
or beginners. So basically what I was doing at BRS, I'm going to be doing now just on our dedicated beginner channel, which we're calling HelloReef. So those videos, as soon as I start making them, we'll be making, you know, a couple a week, kind of like I always do. Those will just be beginner oriented. Yes, we'll feature a lot of the HelloReef system, you know, because we think it's a good system, but it's not going to be just HelloReef, HelloReef, HelloReef. It's going to be, you're a beginner, here's what you do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Sorry, I had to laugh. One of the comments are like, "Great, my 7-year-old knows I'm Santa. She's listening now. She knows what she's getting for Christmas."
You're not the my kids also they're very involved in the tanks we have at home, or they're involved in passing. Whenever I give them the opportunity, they're very involved. But I want them to actually learn. So I'm excited for my own kids to run through this program. Which actually brings up another funny point, was that one of the things that we all kind of agreed on with this too was all having been involved at some level, either with educating people, having friends and relatives who've seen the results of our addiction to the hobby, or having worked in retail space or being involved with retailers, is the one dreaded question which I've always had as a hobbyist, is when somebody finds out what I do for a living and they come to me and they ask me, I've been thinking about having a saltwater aquarium, or that's really amazing. Like, how do I have that in my home? At which point you're just kind of like, well, how much time do you have? You know, what do you want to invest? How much maintenance do you want to do every week? Like, you know, do you have a service company nearby? Like, are you actually going to listen to what I tell you, or are you going to take some of that and go do something totally different? And now, if somebody comes and asks me, I'm going to simply be like, guess what? If you're interested in this, there's a really cost-effective and easy way to become quite proficient at having an aquarium. And if you want that 300-gallon aquarium in your home, just invest a little bit of time and effort and run through this, right? And you don't have to explain anything to them. You simply tell them about this product, and off they go, right? And right from unboxing all the way through to having their first successful nano tank, you know, they'll have that experience. And then from there, they can go off and do more. Or if they don't actually like doing it, they don't have a huge financial sinkhole in their home, which just causes them and more importantly, their marriage, usually a lot of grief, right? So, you know,
so you're saving marriages with HelloReef
this product, as well as creating new hobbyists.
No, that's awesome. A big thing for me, like, just the fact that you have the course, everything that goes with it, is going to make it more successful for somebody, right? You're not guessing, you know, it's walking you through it. And, you know, that just means more successful long-term reefers at the end of the day, which is awesome for the hobby. So it's really cool. Like, it's an easy, attainable way for someone to get a reef tank, you know, and be successful rather than just shooting blind and hoping for the best, right? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it gives people an opportunity, because a lot of people are really interested in saltwater aquatics. I mean, it's some absurd number. It's like, I want to say it's like 770 million people a year go through public aquariums. It might even be more than that, which just seems astronomical to me, but that's the truth. Plus, you know, people go on vacation, they go snorkeling, they go diving. People really want, you know, would love to experience having, you know, a saltwater environment, would love to experience what we get to take for granted once we're embedded in this hobby. But really, there's just not a lot of entry points that let you go straight down that road. Most people who get into saltwater aquatics come from having a long freshwater aquatics background. And even then, you know, we found that a lot of people are still concerned. You know, they see the complexity, they see the equipment that they think is required, or that they get from pieces of information, right? You know, or vice versa. They don't have any experience, so they don't know where to start. So they go in and they buy things in boxes which have a picture of a reef on the front of it. But then when they get it home, it's even more confusing than when they went into the store, right? Because there's pictures of all this stuff, but it doesn't, what they've got is a glass box and maybe one or two of the things. Whereas, you know, I mean, hopefully the intention here was not was just to provide where that need is really with HelloReef, right? Is to try to do it better.
Devin, I'm curious. I've watched tons of your content over the years, and you have some great, a huge, beautiful system. But you're pretty advanced, so I'm sure you get tons of beginner questions yourself. Like, where do you direct people to?
Do you know what's funny? I actually went through this with the HelloReef, and I realized that I gloss over certain things because I've been in it so long. So I actually forced myself to pretend I was a brand new reefer going through the program to like cycle it from scratch and do everything from scratch. And I actually went through the guide and the videos and just, completely pretending I was a brand new vanilla reefer. So that part is good. So it was a good experience for myself, just, back to the basics. And from the experienced hobbyist side, having a nano, there's like tons of cool little creatures that you just would be lost or eaten or disappeared in a big tank. So, like all like the pom-pom crabs and sexy shrimp. And like I plan on loading stuff with as many cool little inverts and tiny creatures as I can find. So I think that's like a really cool aspect, just to appreciate all those little tiny creatures that you normally would never see in a big tank. So that's kind of my little rabbit hole that I'm currently down with it.
How many tanks do you have, by the way?
I have 2 bigger ones and then the nano now.
Okay.
But I'm
That's
still
a good amount.
Yeah, I was trying to stick to 2, but now I'm up to 3. But now now on the flip side, I'm debating: do I get rid of my big lagoon tank just because my office is like excessively humid from this massive water volume, and do a bunch of nanos instead? This is my current toying, so it might happen.
It's true, isn't it? Like, because that's the thing, is obviously the natural progression in our hobby is to end up with a large mixed reef tank.
Yeah.
But what that then does is a lot of things, even anemones actually. Anemones are a very difficult thing to keep in a large, but they're such cool creatures. And you get to, in a nano tank, you can dedicate that space to it. It's funny what you're saying too, is that's the thing, right? As you start off down the clownfish and people are like, well, it's not super attractive at the beginning. And you're like, yeah, but once you've got that under control and you've sorted that out, I mean, either the anemones are going to keep growing and multiplied, so you have this crazy field of anemones, or you end up starting to add other stuff like zoanthids or what did you were saying before? What were you at?
Yeah. Gonies is what this one I think is going to end
tank,
up.
Yep.
There is a bounce mushroom, 1 zoa, and then I think 4 or 5 gonies in there so far. But it might be very Goni focused, maybe a few cool zoas. We'll see. Still debating, but if I go down that road of theme tanks, I'm like, ooh, I can do a rock flower one. Maybe I could do something cool with like some pipefish or something. I don't know. I'm trying to think of different, like, it'd be kind of fun to have different themes and different little, so we'll see.
Yeah, like jawfish or, obviously like the pistol shrimp goby combination is another awesome nano tank inhabitant. Yeah, so much possibility.
Yeah, there's tons of like little cool, I don't know, there's so many cool creatures that I just can't do in a big tank. So that's what I'm excited for the most, to be honest, right now. So Matthew, since you have many of them, just out of curiosity, do you have different themes for them, or like what's your?
No, okay. So I only have one set up currently.
Okay.
So I know. So okay, at my height, when working for BRS, I had 7 or 8 tanks set up, and it was so much for me that I actually hired someone to come in and take care of my tanks, because like I mean, you know how much time it takes, Evan, to make these videos, and you have a full-time job, And so my full-time job was making content, and then I was like, where do I, so I was spending my weekends taking care of 7 tanks, and they were all different. I had like this cold water seahorse tank and a mixed reef tank and a harem tank, and so they all had these anyway. So I only have 1 right now, and my goal is eventually probably to have a second one. But you know what? I'm kind of just enjoying having the 1 HelloReef, and then I have my own tank over there, but that's just like a simple Fowler tank with just a few fish and no corals, just to keep life easy for me. But I really love doing, I used to want to do mixed reef and stuff, but I just found out I'm just not good enough at the hobby. Like, I'm really glad I'm focused on beginners, because I'm really good at that. But when it comes to like Ryan Bachelor level brain space in the reefing community, that just goes beyond me, and I try to be successful, and I find much more success with these little biotopes, so doing just anemone clownfish, great, that would be fantastic. I've done macroalgae tanks, which are so much fun, just simple macroalgae tanks are great. And so that would be my goal, to do a whole bunch of simple little things that if something goes wrong, you know what to do because you don't have 20 different things in there to diagnose. You just have one or two. So I'm going to go with this one for now, just so we can, we got some more videos to make. So I'm going to fill it with anemones, and then we will see. I always say something like, you know what, this is going to be, I'll just keep it like this for a while. But then within a year, I usually change it to something else. So
that's fair.
You never know.
If you do another macro one, it'd be cool to do like, like the shaving bush, like really cool different macros, and then get some of the like the nano pipefish and do like some of those there. That'd be really
Have
cool.
you seen, I actually did a video for that for BRS. I did
nice.
I called it the Caribbean Garden Tank.
Yeah.
And it was gorgeous. I used this like Innovative Marine Peninsula tank, and I filled it with like orange sponges and all sorts of different shapes and sizes of macro. And then I had pipefish in there, and I had like little miniature gobies, and it was the coolest thing I've ever. I had mangrove coming out of it.
That's awesome.
I mean, it was all in this 15-gallon beauty, which is the same size, just a different shape. And it was awesome too, because when you do something like that, you don't have these huge nitrite and nitrate and problems because it just consumes all of it. So anyway, no, that I would love to do that in one of these systems.
That'd be really cool. You should. Okay, question for Matt.
I like the macroalgae tank. I love those. I think they're amazing. I tried one. I was more successful at a full-blown mixed reef tank.
Really?
SBS actually, Kenny. But I'm willing to go back there because that was I love that. Like it's underwater gardening, and algae is just such interesting shapes and textures and colors as well. Macroalgae is amazing.
And it's so much
like that dragon's breath. Never seen anything like that.
Oh,
like,
that one's
incredible.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, question from Jay. Will the videos go through water changes or not that in depth? How in depth do you go, Matthew? P.S. Will, thank you for the super chat.
I do everything. I mean, it's like 40 videos. I mean, and that's just the core challenge. Bonus videos. 41, what is it? 48? Yeah. Sorry, you're kind of glitching out there a little bit, Jay. But yeah, it's a ton of videos, and I go extremely basic, which is probably painful for Devin to watch, going back and like, oh my gosh, why is he talking about this stuff? But the thing about it going basic is it's basic with as much detail as you need, right? Because when I talk about RODI filters, I stop myself and I say, you're going to use RODI water, and here's where to get it. I could go into all the different 4-stage, 5-stage, 6-stage, but that's just so overwhelming for a beginner. So it's really about giving you the information that you need when you need it. Yeah. And knowing that this is just people's like reefing 101 class, they're going to go on and take 102, 103 and advanced levels, but they got to start somewhere. So yes, we do go into the details such as how to do a water change. Yes.
There was, I put an RODI, like just water filter, not DI, just RO filter on my sink with like the little spout. And I just use that to top off my tank. Now, a little deli cup I'd fill up, like bloop, there's my auto top off. I eventually put an auto top on it, but I did that for a month or two first. We lost Jay. He's frozen to the background.
He is frozen to the background.
Yeah. Yep. So basically the videos, the courses, they're very in depth. They go through everything you need to do as a beginner to be successful.
Yeah. And I think they average something like each one's like 4 or 5 minutes. So they're in short chunks so that you don't feel like super overwhelmed as well. And then the hope is that once we finish this and we start populating the HelloReef YouTube channel, we'll be able to fill out with a lot more detail. And especially since like I want to create more content for people who don't just get the kit, so we're going to do that, and we're going to do that next.
That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's pretty sweet. It's, I don't know. It's a nice tank. Like it's pristine. It looks sleek. The prime on it looks awesome. It's very, it's a nice package.
Yeah. Well, what's nice about it too, because I've seen a couple iterations of it, but it has like good quality equipment. Like oftentimes you buy kits and you get these cheap pumps that are made and these cheap lights, but this is like an AI Prime light. These are CJ pumps. We're using Carib Sea products. We're using Dr. Tim's, like it's good stuff. It's not like nothing in this kit skims out. So that's really nice. So it's like, I don't know. That's just an added benefit.
Agreed. You don't have to upgrade everything afterwards, right? You buy it and every piece you got to replace. Now you're good. You're set.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. I do appreciate that one.
Alexa, turn on the workshop lights.
Oh, we can hear you, Jay.
Welcome back, Jay. You're still frozen, but there you go. Welcome back. Jay, have you set up yourself a HelloReef yet?
I have a couple actually. I have one in the office and I have one here. The one here is at the clownfish stage, and has yet to progress largely because I haven't been to the fish store. So maybe next week or two. The one at the office has an anemone and some zoanthids in it already, and is doing quite well. The winner in the office at the moment is Brandon's tank. His is just absolutely flourishing. He has a bubble tip that he took from downstairs, and I think I sent you some video or pictures of it. But he's about eight to 10 weeks in now, and everything looks great. So yeah, working out really well.
I think I actually have a photo of that one. Let me find it. That would be this guy, I think. Dun-dun-dun. It's a
Got
pretty
in
big.
the fortnighting hour.
It's a solid anemone in there. I think the guy's huge.
That's big.
Finesse. Dun-dun-dun-dun.
40 clams for the office, so they got split around, and they're also in some of the HelloReef tanks and doing well, which apparently is fine. Like, I did not know that you could keep clams well in nano tanks or smaller clams, but apparently you can.
You got 40 clams for the office? Why?
40.
In one
So
in
many.
one nano reef
Not-
or in
not
every
really.
nano reef?
I wasn't party to that, so I don't really know, but they're most of them are in the 300 main display and doing great actually, but
It's fun.
but yeah, we have some in some of the HelloReef systems as well, which is really cool.
You should just do a Hello Reef just packed full of clams. That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
That'd
Like
be
a
so
clam
cool.
themed one. Yeah. Think how amazing that would be. Just nothing but
Oh, yeah.
clams. You have the capabilities now. I know there's enough clams in the office.
Cade's is actually that. Cade has the HelloReef tank that is packed with clams.
Huh. Okay.
I think he
need to-
has about, I don't know. Well, no, we must have got more than 40 because I think 40 went in the main display, and I think he has about 20 in his tank. So I don't know. I don't know. We got boxes and boxes of clams. Never really have enough clams, right?
I want a photo of this later. That sounds
Yeah,
pretty awesome.
I'll send you a picture of his setup. I mean, clams are all looking really good.
That was pretty cool. You need there's a Hello Reef Instagram. You need to start loading up with all these office tanks and all these photos. I want to see it. Like, it's cool to see all the different inspiration of what people have done with it, and I think that's kind of a fun one, and especially for somebody new, right? It's like, you know, gives you an idea of what your tank can turn into.
Well, I think that's one of the best parts. Like all that, like one of like several of the challenges are literally, please share your tank with us.
Yeah.
Because we really want to see it, you know. And then if we could populate that, I mean, I'm sure you've done this, Devin. Like when you're, I'm sure everyone's done it, but when you're looking for inspiration, like, like the best ideas are usually with someone else. And so I usually look at someone else's and then I try to make a somewhat decent copy of that to make it look decent.
Oh yeah, I had like before I even did my mainscape, I've had like, you know, massive of folders of just saved photos of scapes I like for like ideas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Manny's Reef. I really want a Hello Reef tank in my office. I'm 100 convinced it's the tank I'll be purchasing. All right, Manny, send us photos when you do.
Is that the real Manny? The old mild boss over at Marine Depot, Manny?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, that's right. That was a lifetime ago.
Do the videos include common coral care, placement, and feeding, etc.?
So this kit is focused on clownfish and anemones, and that's where it ends. We made a conscious decision at the beginning, you know, to go with something that would draw people in, that would be really popular, that would also be something that wouldn't be too complicated. So this one stops at clownfish and anemones, but who knows what the future holds as to other videos we may make.
I heard rumors of you making other videos on the other channel earlier in the stream, so there's a good one to add to the video list.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the community is a big part of this too, right? Is the idea here is the kit itself walks you through learning the basics, the fundamentals, and being successful with that. Because obviously once once you've got that down, once you understand water changes, once you understand that really this isn't that much, there's not that much complication here when you start at the beginning. From then, the sky's the limit in terms of where you go. And obviously, that's when there's just all of this great support for you, because once you get interested in that, then there's BRS TV. I mean, BRS TV obviously has a huge amount of beginner content as well, but it's not organized quite the same way where it's a hands-on step by step, right? But once you're there, there's plenty of places to go once you've gotten past this initial setup. But then, like we just talked about here, from the more experienced reefer community, the amount of inspiration, including potentially the possibility for other kits down the road, is just limitless, really, because there's so many things you can do. But yeah, I mean, that was the one thing we did focus, and Matthew goes into great detail. I mean, everything from how to pick the animals, acclimation, feeding, general care, and then if we get questions specific to that, we can build out additional educational content practically in real time to address people's questions. So, for instance, if we find out that people are like, well, I went to the pet store and I realized that there's 5 different versions of Ocellaris. Is one better than the other? Like, well, okay, we'll do a quick challenge explaining designer clownfish, right? Something along those lines.
Be good. And I
People
think
aren't, demystifies it, right?
Yeah. Well, I think too, even if, whether it's within like HelloReef, like within like the learning platform or HelloReef YouTube channel later, even stuff, like continuing the journey and like slowly doing more advanced stuff with the HelloReef tanks could be like a cool thing too, right? Just expand it, as people, get further down their journey of a new reefer and they get more established, they want to try different coral. Like it could be like a really cool outlet to, continue that kind of education.
Although interestingly, how big was your first tank?
Mine?
Yeah.
My very first saltwater tank was a 12-gallon fluval edge, like that little like QB one with a little hole in the bottom top.
And how long was it before you got your second saltwater tank?
I upgraded it probably 6 to 8 months later. And then I was like, oh, yeah, I want more coral space, and I upgraded it. I have a very strong addiction to coral, and that's fun. Not funded, but spawned most of my upgrades. I'm like, oh, more coral, bigger tank. But now I'm like, oh, it's kind of fun to go back to small and basics and have, again, which is funny because you get to appreciate a different subset of stuff that you don't in the big tanks. So I do appreciate both extremes of it, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things we talked about is that there are certain cases, like for instance, your office, right, is an absolutely perfect place to have a 15-gallon. You can have your reefing habit right there with you at work, potentially, or in a college dorm room. Another perfect scenario where that 15 by 15-inch footprint is just is perfect. But a lot of people also have a vision of wanting something larger, and that's sort of the idea here too. Is that Matthew summed it up very well. Was that the idea was, in part, is from the interactive experience anyway, to be very succinct with that, and to try to have a kind of a start that runs you through to I've got this, the moment where you suddenly realize you have a beautiful aquarium and that you've done it, you've now gotten to that stage and you've now mastered that level of saltwater, which then takes you on to other things, and eventually maybe right back around to a whole bunch of nano tanks.
You never know what rabbit holes you'll end up down. John, are these coming to the UK?
That's a good question. The answer is yes, probably. Okay. We can't really speak to that because we don't know. Our first step is to get them out into the world. So we're there. I think the long-term plan will definitely try to increase the availability because of what it is, right? The idea is to get more people involved with our lifestyle and the underwater world, which it brings with it. But you probably, if you have a good friend, maybe in Canada or the US, they can ship you one.
If you want to speed her up. Yeah. Jay, I thought I would throw a Colorado sunburst in there. Thank you, Matthew, for taking my money, but I want one for myself.
Don't blame me.
Yeah. The next one, Manny. Okay, so apparently it's a different Manny. Like in the nano world, now I need one for my office. Yes, I need it. I spend 12 hours a day there. Honestly, for like a desk office tank, I think is awesome. Like it's, right beside my monitor at the corner of my desk, and I got a sweet little view of my clownfish and, and stuff in there. I think it's pretty awesome. So I think they're really cool for like an office tank.
If you are fortunate enough to be in a company where you can have an aquarium in your office or your cubicle or your general work area, I mean, I speak from experience. Matthew can speak probably from his experience. I'm sure Devin can as well. But like, if you don't already have it and it's something you can do, it is one of the most worthwhile things I think you can put in your immediate space. Yeah. Being near water is amazing, but I was on a call with Mark Allen and we were joking about this too, is that it's extremely relaxing. I mean, and there is, particularly when you're on the phone, right? And you might not be able to do something else, but that is time where you can actually indulge your love of the activity without even detracting from your work. Plus, you just said it there, 12 hours a day you're in the office. I mean, most of us working a good, you spend more time working than you do pretty much doing anything else. So, enrich that experience, enrich that life, whether it's a HelloReef aquarium or something else. I mean, of course we would prefer it if it's a HelloReef aquarium, but even just, a betta fish is a really wonderful thing to have in your space.
Yeah. Bring a little zen. You can watch it swim around and graceful during those nice long work meetings. Yep. Good inspiration. I like it.
Lowers your blood pressure, gives you something beautiful to look at, something natural.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone walks by, you're just like staring at your little tank on the side.
Yeah, and they might give you a weird nickname,
But then you'll catch them staring at it too, and you're like, yeah, that's what I thought.
Complain because you keep doing your water changes in the coffee sink, stuff like that. They're very forgiving at our company for obvious reasons, but might not be at yours.
And I will just say that most offices have a water cooler of filtered RO water, so it's really easy to have an ATO there. Fill up your coffee cup every day, dump it in, boom, auto top off, done. Strategy, right?
Sounds like a great series, actually. Being like a closet reefer at work, like just how you. Secretly having an aquarium like George Costanza style, like under your, like a whole little aquatic world under your desk.
There, yeah, awesome. Good.
If I ever start going in like frequently enough to actually do it, I shall do this. We'll have a 15-gallon filled with all sorts of inverse. I don't know. His was a bloodbath. Oh, that's no good. I think there's so many cool inverts like sexy shrimp and pom-pom crabs and porcelain crabs, like really cool stuff that is super peaceful that would do great in there. Yeah. I've personally mixed tons of those and never had an issue in the past. So.
I already have. I think in mine I have like 2 urchins in there. I have like 3 shrimp in there. Like there's so many cool things you can do in this small space. You just have to be a little bit more choosy about what you do. But luckily we talk about that in the course. So.
Perfect. So I guess that's just a little side note. As for you, like what are your top nano creatures that you would consider for a setup? Like obviously clownfish are the main beginner ones, but aside from that, what are other miniature creatures that would be on your hit list?
Some of my favorites are just ones that you don't often see. So like I'm a big fan of, I don't know if you know Alyssa over at Seahorse Savvy. She's great. She helped me set up my seahorse tank. There's some really cool pygmy seahorses. She gets these ones that you don't find. Like I have these, I don't even like. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm terrible with names of things. I've just never been good at it. But I have these little tiny masked gobies, little schooling masked gobies that are like this long. You can put like 5 of them and they school together.
That's cool.
So honestly, I just like kind of finding stuff that not many people have. As soon as the price tag gets too expensive, I'm just not interested anymore. Which I'm not saying. I mean, some people love fancy collector stuff. I have collections too. I get that. But when it comes to livestock, I don't know, little gobies. I don't know. I that's a really good question. I would just kind of browse around and see. Jay, what do you like in small little fish, small little inverts?
I actually prefer them. I share this story. It was like one of the last times I was fortunate enough to go diving was years ago now, but it was out in Sipadan in Malaysia, and we dove day in and we dove day out, right? But at the end, one of the last dives, we basically just went down on the reef, and I just sat there right? I was like, I've seen all the big stuff. Like, I'm just going to sit here on the reef, and just sitting there is the environment kind of gets used to you. Everything starts to come out, and it was just, incredible how much small fauna there is, and how interesting it is. It's like starfish, and I mean, we call it cleanup crew, but like I like watching the pincushion urchins. They like Spider-Man, they like shoot out the things and swing back and forth, off of your overflow. And I mean, I just, if I could get as much just weird little stuff in the tank that I can actually then go up and look at closely, I find that just absolutely fascinating.
Mm-hmm. No, that'd be really cool.
Honestly, a dream of mine. It wouldn't be this one. I have to get an acrylic one, but I've always dreamed about doing like a cold water tank.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting packed. I mean, like I grew up in the Oregon coast, and just packing it with just random macroalgae, anemones. Like, I mean, just tide pools have all these little fish. I don't even know what they are. Like, I would love to have that someday.
That'd be pretty cool.
I mean, it's interesting. Obviously, like you said, like the big, beautiful tangs, and I mean, there's so many larger fish we have in the hobby. Schooling fish, chromis. I love chromis. When you have a big school of them swimming around, or firefish, if you're able to provide for them. Antheus, same thing. Just absolutely incredible. And then obviously the tangs and beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fish. But and they have personality too. But so do the little guys. So do the little gobies. Like, some of them are just so interesting to watch.
Yeah, so true.
Did we lose him again?
Yeah, we did. Question for you, actually, Matthew. What was the seahorse site that Matthew mentioned?
Oh, it's seahorsesavvy.com. Alyssa is the founder and owner of it, and I've worked with her a lot over at Bulk Reef Supply. And she actually supplied some of my inverts for this tank as well. So you'll see if you get the kit and you do the course, you'll see she's mentioned, because she's actually one of my go-tos. So yeah, it's just seahorsesavvy.com. SAAV, 2 A's, I think. Isn't that how you spell savvy? 2 A's, 1 V, I think.
Maybe.
Or
Google will find it.
Anyway, seahorsesavvy.com. People don't go there.
2 V's.
2 V's. Okay, 2 V's. Because people think that she only sells seahorses. But no, what she does is she breeds seahorses, but everything she sells is seahorse safe.
Okay.
So she gets a lot of cool macroalgae inverts that you don't find in other places. I just think she has some different importers and exporters that she works with. And her prices are really, that's it. Her prices are really good too. And she gets new stuff in every week. So her website is constantly being updated. And she's fantastic. Like, she's super nice. She won the Masna Aquarist of the Year last year, I believe.
Nice.
So she's legit.
Gee, I would love to try dwarf seahorses one day. I think that'd be super cool. I know they're a little harder to feed, but that'd be an awesome for a nano tank.
It's always interesting too if you have the opportunity to talk to people who deal with specific livestock. I mean, we talked to them obviously for the clownfish and the anemone stuff, and one of the interesting things was one of the unanimous recommendations from people who deal with anemones a lot in the trade is go with bubble tips, because they are almost always tank raised, more so than the other species. Most of what's available in the hobby comes apparently from within the industry. And that they're extremely hardy, and that they are usually more sedentary than the other types of anemones, so they move around less. So, unfortunately, they're not always the most expensive, but they're usually one of the more pricey ones.
Yeah.
But you can get green or red, the more standard varieties, at very reasonable prices. But it was interesting because I didn't know that, right? But you talk to people who deal with anemones a lot. They start to give you all this kind of interesting information and insight about them that you just don't know.
Yeah.
So
no,
definitely hit people up for their knowledge.
Exactly. You're always gonna be learning in this hobby, and I think that's one of the fun things. And I think that's what draws people into it. Is you're never gonna know it all. There's so many rabbit holes. Even nano creatures is its own whole rabbit hole, and every coral. Like, I don't know. There's so much to learn. It sucks you in.
Well, and then I think you're right that not only are we always learning, but you're always going to fail as well in this hobby. And I think the biggest difference between people who've been doing this for 5, 10, 20 years is that when they failed the first time, they kept going. You know, like, I mean, I'm sure all of us have had tank crashes at some point, whether big or small, and we've had diseases and parasites break out that we didn't know what to deal with, or different algae problems, you know. And it's the person who perseveres. So, like, I don't want a beginner to get this kit and be like, oh no, I experienced a failure. Well, welcome to the club. You know, like, we've all been there. It's just a matter of taking it as an opportunity to figure out what went wrong so that next time you're better at the hobby. I mean, it takes 10,000 hours to become a professional with like any hobby. And it's the same in this hobby. You know, it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. So don't expect in your 40 hours of, HelloReef stuff that you're going to be an expert.
No, so true. So,
but you will know the fundamentals, Absolutely. And you will know that what you've learned how to set up a tank is the right way to do it. I mean, we talked about that too. Like, it's interesting. It's interesting what Evan was saying earlier about skipping over, right? When you're telling other people what to do, and we all take shortcuts, right? Once you have the experience, you take shortcuts, but that also leads to problems that we should know better. And that maybe if we, once you think you know what you're doing, you're always the most dangerous, right? So,
yep, it's true. But I don't know. For back to robot Jay. Jay, where your internet connection? That. All right, Mr. Roboto. Okay, so if somebody is been lured into our wonderful world of reefing down a rabbit hole and wants to, get a HelloReef tank for themselves, or if they want to get it for, someone else's, Christmas present or, some new reefer, where do they go? How did they sign up? What do they do?
Just in case, what do you got, Matthew? Jay, we can't hear him. No. As far as I know, there are two. You can go to HelloReef.com. Very simple. HelloReef.com. You can also search at Bulk Reef Supply. They are available Bulk Reef Supply right now. Eventually, we'd like to get them all over the place, local fish stores. But for now, we just launched. So HelloReef.com or Bulk Reef Supply. You may just have to search in HelloReef at BRS, and it will pop up.
Awesome. No, that's really cool. Love it. It's been just about an hour, so I won't keep you guys too much longer, but anything else you guys want to hit up on the HelloReef side of things, or nanos?
All right.
Dun, dun, dun. Welcome back, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to get my kids some HelloReef tanks so they're not playing Fortnite and streaming on 5 different devices at once, so that I can actually do a live stream. They don't let me get more internet bandwidth in my area than I have. So anyway, and make sure, if you're interested in this, or someone who's interested in it, definitely pass it along. And make sure follow us on Matthew on YouTube. That we should have a bunch of contributors as well. Matthew obviously has been our driving force behind this, and you'll see more and more of him. And then Facebook, obviously, follow us on that if you would. Sub, we can always use it. We love the love. And any ideas, especially if you get one or somebody gets one, make sure you pass on any feedback or thought process, right? Or anything that you think could make it better, because we can adjust. And this really is, we hope, like something that is really valuable for our whole community. I mean, it's a HelloReef product, but realistically, the intention here is more to be a benefit to people who are interested in getting into the aquatics hobby.
No, exactly. And I am all for expanding the hobby, growing it, getting more people into it, helping more people be successful. And I think this is like a great solution to, help new people be successful and, give them all the right tools and all the right gear to get their feet wet and, be successful so they stick with it for the long term. So I think it's pretty awesome. So pretty stoked for it. Jay, Matthew, thank you guys for coming on and sharing the nano love today.
Thanks, Devin.
Awesome.
Thank you, Devin.
All right, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, if you did, hit that like button. If you're new, make sure you subscribe. Check out the HelloReef website, and you can either pick one up there or at BRS. And yeah, if you do, you're going to see lots of Matthew as he leads you through the journey of setting up your first HelloReef tank. All right, guys.